Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for July 23, 2021. An article from ABC News reports, January 6th commission collapses after Nancy Pelosi vetoes GOP selections Jim Jordan and Jim Banks. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Wednesday rejected two of House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's recommendations for the Select Committee investigating the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol, causing McCarthy to pull all of his Republican nominees. Pelosi rejected two of McCarthy's recommendations, Representative Jim Banks of Indiana and Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio.
But as the leader said, and as Mr. Banks said, I don't think they're going to address the fundamental question. The fundamental question of why wasn't there a proper security presence at the Capitol that day? They're not going to address that. And only one person can answer that question. Only one. Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. My hunch is the reason they don't want to address that question, my hunch is because what happened all last year? The Democrats normalized anarchy. They normalized rioting and looting. And when rioters and looters attacked our law enforcement personnel, when rioters and looters destroyed small businesses, what did Democrats do? They went out and raised money to bail them out of jail, and they continue to talk about defunding the police, and in fact did that in all these major urban areas, which is why crime is up.
Leader McCarthy stated at the news conference on Wednesday that Pelosi had created a sham process. Real Clear Politics reports, 2018 flashback. Democrats talk about election fraud, hacked voting machines switching votes. A clip from 2018 showing prominent anti-Trump Democrats, such as then-Senator Kamala Harris and Representatives Ted Lieu and Adam Schiff, espousing theories about voting machines that former President Trump is saying now. Jack Posobiec posted the video on Twitter saying, "Here are Democrats in 2018 saying everything Mike Lindell says about voting machines."
I continue to think that our voting machines are too vulnerable.
Researchers have repeatedly demonstrated that ballot recording machines and other voting systems are susceptible to tampering.
Even hackers with limited prior knowledge, tools, and resources are able to breach voting machines in a matter of minutes.
In 2018, electronic voting machines in Georgia and Texas deleted votes for certain candidates or switched votes from one candidate to another.
The biggest seller of voting machines is doing something that violates Cybersecurity 101, directing that you install remote access software, which would make a machine like that, a magnet for fraudsters and hackers.
These voting machines can be hacked quite easily.
You could easily hack into them. It makes it seem like all these states are doing different things, but in fact, 3 companies are controlling this.
It is the individual voting machines that pose some of the greatest risks.
There are a lot of states that are dealing with antiquated machines, right, which are vulnerable to being hacked.
Workers were able to easily hack into an electronic voting machine. It was possible to switch votes.
43% of American voters use voting machines that researchers have found have serious security flaws, including backdoors.
We know how vulnerable now our systems were. I know the hackathon that took place last year, where virtually every machine was broken into fairly quickly.
I actually held a demonstration for my colleagues here at the Capitol, where we brought in folks who, before our eyes, hacked election machines. Those that are being used in many states.
Aging systems also frequently rely on unsupported software like Windows XP in 2000, which may not receive regular security patches and are thus more vulnerable to the latest methods of cyber attack.
In a close presidential election, they just need to hack one swing state, or maybe 1 or 2, or maybe just a few counties in one swing state.
I'm very concerned that you could have a hack that finally went through.
One Twitter user commented, "Their hypocrisy will never cease to amaze me." The Biden administration has admitted that they want to censor and deplatform you. But you can fight back with the new Freedom Phone. The Freedom Phone is a free speech and privacy-first focused phone with features like tracking blockers and an uncensorable app store. It works with Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile and Sprint, and all other domestic and international carriers. Visit freedomphone.com today and use the promo code 60plus to get $50 off of your purchase. And finally, Fox News informs us Biden says abolishing filibuster would throw entire Congress into chaos. President Biden shot down calls to abolish the filibuster to clear the way for passage of the sweeping Democrat-backed elections overhaul, arguing that any effort to end the use of the tactic despite a GOP outcry would jeopardize his entire legislative agenda. Biden offered his stance during a CNN presidential town hall after an attendee and moderator Don Lemon pressed him to explain why he hasn't called for the filibuster to be abolished. Demands among progressives to abolish the filibuster have escalated since June, when Senate Republicans blocked consideration of the For the People Act after Democrats failed to secure 60 votes required to overcome the filibuster. And that concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for July 23rd, 2021. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.